Hello again to all of you wonderful people of this part of the Information Superhighway, as I welcome you back to the 114th edition of my weekly series of Weird Mind Newsroom, where this week we have quite a bumper episode with a fair few new releases, a lot of trailers, and a couple of news stories with some aspects more relating to the big event of the summer's Comic-Con. But we will get to that in due time. For the moment, let's not waste time on intros and let's get talking to all things media that did come out for this week. On the first of the new releases that we have for this week is one of the last big releases of the summer, and for a team up with so many have been waiting for a long time. But instead of going forward in time, we're going back to an alternate past and to the focus of being introduced to the first family, as we're heading back to the realm of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the release of the Fantastic Four First Steps. The film will take us to a trip to an alternate 1960s era inspired New York in a more retro-futuristic setting, as we will follow the Fantastic Four teaming up to protect the world from the looming threat of the planet-devouring cosmic entity known as Galactus, and his herald of the Silver Surfer, also coming to terms with their new gifted powers and coming together as a newfound family. Reception on this new film has seen some very strong reception, with praise to its style, its performances of the main leads, the story and visuals, and being a proper well-made film fit for this team that has been due a proper adaptation for well over 3 decades. If you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. And as for our second film for this week, and the only film of focus in animation, is Return to a World where certain figures may be seen as being assumed as bad, but in the case of trying to go good and being pulled back into that pastime, it really seems that being bad has never felt so good, as Mr. Wolf and his gang are back again, as we have received the release of the long-awaited sequel to The Bad Guys. The film will follow on a few years after the events of the original and see the group finding it difficult to try to adjust and be accepted in society after becoming good guys. But soon they are given their chance to prove their worth with one last job when they are hired by a group of all-female criminals, or the bad girls, so to say. Reception on this follow-up, like the original so far, has been seeing some very positive reception with praise to its visuals, its animation, its characters, and story, and being another solid entry in the series, while having some issues about like a little bit of broad humor and some aspects of pacing. Now, I did watch this as well. I can agree this is a great film, and I would even recommend to check this out in a 4DX experience if you can, as I did, and I brought a lot more appeal to the process. And if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch a new film now, also out in cinemas. The third film for this week is seeing us return to the fairways. It's a place that has seen many famous faces come and go and prove their worth, and in the case with this golfer, he may not have started on this one, but he has proven his worth that he can club to club against the very best, and if things get a little stressful, it's always best to go to his happy place. As after nearly 3 decades since the original film, Happy is back as we receive the sequel to the 90s comedy classic of Happy Gilmore. The film will see Gilmore make a return to the sport that he first stumbled into over 30 years ago, and looking to get back out on the course to help pay for his daughter's ballet lessons. But things will not be as simple, as he will soon be dealing with his own anxieties, all new professional golfers, and a return of his old rival of Shooter McGavin. The reception initially was seen as a bit mixed, but was slowly gone up a bit more of a modest reception, with praise with being a more well-done legacy sequel, not relying on too much dumb jokes, and for being a decent fun watch. Though some will still see it as being a little unnecessary, maybe it'll feel too full of cameos and callbacks to the original. But it will be probably well worth a watch, and if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now on Netflix. And our last film for this week is a film that should have been released well over 2 months ago here, but for some reason they delayed it about a week out before its release. But it seems to have finally time to find yourself a new parental figure that may seem a little eccentric at face value, but will become a lot more of a sinister outcome, as the YouTube duo that brought us this smash hit horror of Talk to Me are back again with their sophomore film, the new title of Bring Her Back. The film will follow a pair of siblings who, after becoming orphans from the death of their father, find themselves in the care of a woman named Laura, an eccentric former counselor who also fosters a young mute boy named Oliver. But soon it will become a case of concern when they may find themselves in the middle of an occult, with Laura looking to try and bring her deceased daughter back to life by any means necessary. Reception to this new title, like their first film, has also been very highly praised, with most praise going to its horror elements and tone and the performances, especially towards Sally Hawkins being the standout as Laura, and being a strong horror title and one of the best reviewed of this year. If you want to check it out for yourself as well, you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. As for the one series for this week, it's time to return to a small, quiet little mountain town deep in the heart of Colorado for a different take perspective on the modern world in a more twisted, messy form of way, as after 2 years, multiple TV movies, and a bit of a streaming contract conflict that got them a fine $1.5 billion, we have seen the release of the 27th season premiere of South Park. Now, of course, the season will be taking aim at the modern world and not being afraid afraid to mock and take a jab at what is happening in this world, from politics and celebrities to tech and all other things in this world, with the premiere taking aim about the death of woke, Jesus being forced upon us in schools, and a certain orange man that has some massive anger issues and a very tiny manhood. Now, while the full season is yet released, the first episode has been a real talking point of being what is needed in this world right now, and I think how they did it was brilliant, very funny, and also cursed in some aspects, and well worth a watch. And if you're all for checking it out, you can catch the first episode now on Paramount Plus, with new episodes releasing every Wednesday in the States and Thursdays in UK and Ireland on the streaming service and on Comedy Central. Now into the games for this week, and the first of the two titles in the focus with this title that falls into the category of the games that gives off the Souls-like type titles that brings us a well-loved setting that would really appeal and clash well with the aesthetic as we are heading to the dark days of a certain dynasty as we have the release of the all-new title of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. The game is set in the war-torn and plague-stricken lands of Shu during the late Ming Dynasty that sees the land affected by the feathering disease that has caused the gradual decline and collapse of the environment and society, and told through an alternate history take on the real event. We play as Bai Wu Chang, a female pirate who's afflicted by disease and also suffering from amnesia, who must battle their way through the war and conflict affecting their land and help resolve the conflict before the land cease to exist with life. Reception on the title has seen some very well praised reception, with praise for its story, its gameplay, and its visuals, while initially being hit with more initial negative reception on PC due to some poor performance issues, which is kind of expected a lot of time with these games, but you know, they've patched it very quickly. But have since improved since then. But if you want to play it for yourself, you can play it now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And this last game is one I've already talked about before a couple of weeks ago, and I will not be overly discussing it, but it's time to party once again with a few new added extras as we are back in the Mushroom Kingdom for the Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Party Jamboree, with the new added bonus of Jamboree TV. Now, this edition of the original title will have all the party-filled, friendship-ruining boards and mini-games we all love to play, but this new edition brings all new form of a game show type event known as Jamboree TV that'll have you testing all the new features and functions of the new hardware and some unique new minigame gimmicks. Reception of the Switch 2 edition of the title has seen some modest to well-received reception with praise of the features added and some new modes and graphical upgrades found, though most issues seem to stem to the case that some features are locked behind the camera to play, as well as being a bit of a pricey DLC at about $20, with not too much content to begin with, but hopefully we will see in this Switch era of games getting more well-deserving and added DLC updates over time to appeal to it more and more as it goes on. If you want to play it for yourself, then you can play this title now on Nintendo Switch 2, or if you just want to play the original title, you can play now on Switch 1 as well. For all that, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week. Now the first of the trailers for this week is a focus about the world of a franchise that we have seen the element of a man against the ultimate hunter of the universe. But it looks like for this instance, the creature that is usually the one with the advantage is now seen as the possible prey, and will now be on a jury to prove his worth amongst his species. As we're returning to the universe that has already been visited once already this year, has received the new trailer for the upcoming new film of the Predator franchise with Predator Badlands. The film will be set in a distant future and we'll see a young predator who has been cast out of his clan and now gunned against human survivors, who will find himself an ally in Fia, a young female android, and will soon embark on a long treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary to prove his worth. So I do like the case of this series. This character, the Predator, has been seeing a case like their counterpart of the Alien franchise to be in a return to form and grace of what appealed to the franchise, and given it's the same director that gave us the great take on the character with Prey a couple of years ago, but also recently with the best in the series reviewed so far of Killer of Killers, I feel in all sense that it may be hopefully another hit entry in the series that also looks a little like it's setting up to be another take crossover in the Ultimate Hunter fighting against the Ultimate Life Form, going off Ellie Fanning's android character that is more of a staple of the other franchise. But I think besides trying to look ahead right now, I think that the focus on this does look appealing, and I'm sure will be well worth a watch. I'm all for checking this out when this hunt begins into cinemas from the 7th of November. The next trailer for this week is the focus of a project that may not have much of a focus in what we can expect, but going off the person that is making this project itself, it's completely understandable to know that the concept has been worked and morphed by the creator behind it, similar to another film from last year that he worked on that had excellent marketing. As Osgood Perkins has returned once again to provide a new unsettling experience as he released the first teaser for his new horror title of Keeper. Now, not much is really explained to us on what we expect, but what has been given to us in some vague plot is the focus of a wife finding herself isolated in a secluded rogue cabin and will soon have to find herself fending off against a presence that is of some unspeakable evil. Now, a case with Perkins projects is of late that the concept of those works are usually very vague, and that is especially clear with this teaser, as it focuses on some of the female leads of this project being stalked or pried upon by some unseen presence, and it's also very vague, cryptic, unsettling, and I find that it's certainly a way to entice people and get people interested, which helped with the marketing genius of last year's Long Legs that people kind of slowly turned against recently, I believe, or something. But I'm invested to try and learn more about this, and I'm sure we will get more ideas of what to expect by the release of this film into cinemas from the 14th of November. And as for our third trailer for this week, we have seen the case of experiencing those horrors for the past decade now in many different forms. But in this case, I only really have one question to ask of you, audience. And that is this. Are you ready for Freddy once again? As after a 2-year gap since the original first movie, an all-new shift is about to find itself become available as we receive the first full trailer for the upcoming film sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's. The film is set 1 year after the events of the original movie of the characters experiencing the supernatural events at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with the stories of what occurred being twisted into a campy local legend that spans the first ever Fazfest. Former security guard Mike and police officer Vanessa have kept the truth from Mike's little sister Abby about the fate of her animatronic friends, but one night, when she sneaks out to reconnect with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, it will soon set in motion a terrifying series of events that reveals dark secrets about the true origins of Freddy's, and unleashing a long-forgotten horror that was hidden away for decades. So it's a case that I feel this series has stood itself as a staple for many as quite the appealing project for that. Sure, the first film for many was not the best thing overall, but I felt that it had some appeal and some good stuff in there, and especially with the design of the animatronics, and we'll get into the pros and cons when I do review the said project in due time. And so far from what I've seen from this trailer, it does look like they are giving more into adding the elements of the games, particularly with the introduction of the first sequel with toy animatronics, with their models and some more expanding on the lore, as well as like the whole face mask thing or something like that. That is still to this day a little uncertain and all over the place, you know, even with the many games that have come out for this. But from this trailer, it feels a little more like FNAF than the first one, especially for some elements like the unnecessary conflict with their aunts. But personally, I like the first one in all aspects, and so far it got me excited for this follow-up, and I'm sure we'll hopefully be ready for Freddy when the show begins in cinemas from the 5th of December. The next trailer was all about the effects of one's consequences, the case that plan may have come together at first, but then when all least expected will all fall apart and lead to some people going the distance to make things right or save those who are caught in the crossfire of consequences, as we received another trailer for the new film from Paul Thomas Anderson with One Battle After Another. The film, based in 1990 novel Vineland, will follow a group of ex-revolutionaries reuniting together to rescue one of their own daughter when an evil enemy of theirs seems to have returned after being presumed dead for around 16 years. So in all case, I would say that Anderson's filmography has that range of appeal and charm that can be something well worth checking out and a bit of fun, and I sense with this one, especially with the array of star power in this movie, I think a bit like it goes a little over the top in some aspects, but I'm sure it'll be well worth a lot of appeal of, like, you know, aspects and some critical acclaim by its release, and I am for sure will probably maybe give this a watch, and if you want to check it out for yourself when it does, it'll be releasing itself into cinemas from the 26th of September. The next trailer, which is one that has come for us from this week's Comic-Con, is seen its return to the world of soups, but not your normal ones from the world of Marvel or DC. The latter of which we will get to in a moment, but more on the world where these heroes are more unhinged and fucked up, as we soon be time to return for an all-new semester to hone those powers, as we received another new trailer for the second season of the first spin-off for The Boys with Gen V. The second season of this series will follow on from the events of season 4, with the US now under the rule of Homelander's reign. It will see Marie and the rest of the inmates return to the school of Gondalkin after the effects of the attack on the school in the first season, with a new dean having taken over looking to turn soups into soldiers. But soon, with the threat of a war on the brink of breaking out between humans and soups, the team will soon discover a program that will possibly change everything, and Marie may be the one person that could be the key to resolve everything. It's interesting to see the case of how this elements of this project start to feel a little more real in the sense of some civil unrest in the world over the last few months, and it's interesting to see if the likes of the project will end up with a continuing story after the final season of the main series, as was the case of dealing with like the effects of a death of one of the main cast in between seasons 1 and 2 kind of thing. But it is kind of interesting to see what we'll get from this, because the season does look really well and gives a few familiar faces from the original series popping up here and again to probably help with the heroes and stuff. But so far it does look decent. I'm sure it'll be well worth seeing how this all plays out, and it's not too far off release as well. So the new semester will begin on Amazon Prime from the 17th of September. The next of the trailers we have for this week is seeing us return to the world where the ancient gods and monsters of the past will walk amongst us in the present, and when it starts to become a little overblown, it will take a half-god teen to resolve the problems, as Percy is back once again with the first full trailer for the upcoming second second season of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The new season will be based on the second novel of the series with Sea of Monsters and be set a year after the events of the first, with Percy returning back to Camp Half-Blood, finding it out to be under threat by Kronos' forces and Grover now appearing to be missing. This will see Percy go on a quest to the Sea of Monsters to find and obtain the Golden Fleece and save the camp. So I've not fully seen all of the original season, but I know there's a bit of a mixed opinion, but a fair amount of appeal from the first season, as well as this could be something well worth looking into. It seems this will be evolving to some more characters, like Percy's relationship with certain characters, and even introducing some new ones, like his Cyclops half-brother. I believe we'll be bringing some familiar faces to fit more of the focus tone of the season. But I'm sure we'll find out in due time, and with this trailer it also has a return date as well, as the new season will be releasing on Disney Plus from December 10th. Now for the third last trailer for this week is bringing the case that when things seem uncertain and grim, that all will take for is one hero to bring the peace and will do whatever it takes to do so, even that shove it down your throat. As John Cena is back in the red, white and blue outfit and metal helmet as we receive the official trailer for the second season of the DC series of Peacemaker. The new season will see Chris, or Peacemaker, continue on his journey to becoming a vigilante superhero with his new team known as the 11th Street Kids, while also dealing with struggles to reconcile with his past and newfound sense of purpose while continuing his quest to kick righteous evildoer ass in his misguided quest for peace at any cost, and also dealing with the threat of being hunted down by one Rick Flag Sr. for the death of his son. Now in the case that this series has been one that I would be wondering how this would find itself being connected into this new universe being created by Gunn and Safran after the reboot of the universe, that I feel some elements of the season may answer that, and also the case of being connected into the recent release of Superman, being this is now set a month after the film, and also has some cameos from two of the Justice Gang members from that first trailer. But I think that knowing with Gunn, this will be hopefully as fun and entertaining as the first season and work well into blending the new universe, and thankfully we're not too far away from the release as well, as this new season will be dropping in just under a month's time on August 22nd. The second last trailer for this week is one that will seem like in focus to be first nothing but a simple cross-country walk, but in all focus there'll be more of a sinister reason and meaning to it all, as we have received a new trailer for the adaptation of Stephen King's very first story he ever wrote with The Long Walk. The new film is set in an alternate dystopian United States as ruled by a totalitarian regime. Well, dystopian is a bit of a strong word currently right now, where we will see a group of young men entering an annual walking contest where they must walk at least 3 miles per hour without stopping, or they'll be warned before they are shot and killed. And our continued walk does not stop until one boy is left alive. I'll say to leave the king to make something as simple as a long walk journey to become something with a bit of a dark twist of late, as something so sinister as the novel itself, and the film seems to be taking something in reality, a really dark twist of fate, and I feel it will have some deeper and unsettling nature while watching the overall story that unfolds, and I feel it could be well worth a watch. It'll be a real properly good adaptation of his novel, which could be a double hit this year of King adaptations. The other one's Life of Chuck just comes in next month, but I'm sure we'll see in due time, with the film walking all the way into cinemas from September 12th. And now for the final trailer for this week is one that is not heavy on action, not too scary or over the top, but rather is one that is focused more a bit of a relaxed vibe to it all, and involve a lot of little adorable pocket monsters, as we'll be checking in once again to the nice little resort as we receive the trailer for the second season, or Season 1 Part 2, of Pokemon Concierge. The series will continue the story as focus on Haru, a workaholic who has been taking up a job as a concierge for a resort of Pokemon and their trainers to relax, and all things become a bit more of an intriguing turn when a man named Kent arrives, who seems to be a bit of a mysterious man from the big city who seems to have a past with Haru and will lead to some more shenanigans and other things to occur at the resort. So the original season, which in this case is technically Part 2 of Season 1, was one that had such a nice vibe to it, felt like something to chill and be comforted with, and gives that nice style of animation that keeps you all warm and fuzzy inside. I feel with this new season it may provide a lot more of joy and comfort when needed most, and I'm sure it'll be worth checking out, and you can check this out as well when the new season will be checking into Netflix from September 4th. And with all that now, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
This face was...
Now onto the news for this week, and while I was expecting a lot of news or stories to come from Comic-Con, this year's been a bit quiet, especially with the likes of the big MCU has been taking a bit of a back seat for this year. Besides that, we have a selection of stories, with the first being a focus of some release date announcements for a few projects and with confirmed dates in the pipeline. In this case, I'll be giving a quick rundown of what to expect over the next few weeks and months, so let's get into focus of what was announced date-wise. So first off is one that will soon dealing with another mystery that of course will once again involve some semblance of murder, as after wondering and speculating, we finally got the official release date for the 5th season of Only Murders in the Building, with the next season aiming for release on the 9th of September, which is unclear what the overall theme of the season will be, from starting out in Season 1, being accused of the murder of Season 2, a musical in Season 3, and Hollywood in Season 4. But it seems to be more of a mystery agency style from how the last season ended, but I'm sure we will get a bit of an idea with the release of the trailer for this project that will probably be on the way within the next few days or so. But I will enjoy returning back to the Arconi for a few weeks and try to wrap my head around solving the mystery of the murder and second guessing myself every week to see who was the actual killer and see if I am right by the end. But I guess we'll see by the release of the season come early September. Now then, we're heading into the Underworld for the next two announcements, as the first will be seeing business back in session, as we have the confirmation from earlier this year the popular YouTube series of Hell of a Boss is also joining their sister series of Has Been Hotel on Prime Video, with the confirmation that both seasons 1 and 2 will be releasing from the 10th of September on the streaming service. But that's not all, as of an added business bonus, an all new episode which could be the start of season 3 will also be releasing on the service on the same day as well. I think that would be well enticing to get your ass over to the streamer for those fans of the show. Now this will give me the excuse to check out the rest of the series so far, as I've watched a fair few episodes of the show, but I'll be given a proper rewatch in due time. In case will give me the excuse to do so while waiting for the inhabitants of a local hotel to be ready for business. But speaking of, after a bit of waiting and wondering when we were going to get some news regarding the follow-on, we have finally been given the official release date for the second season of Has Been Hotel, with the new season starting just in time for Halloween on the 29th of October. Now, I'm very excited for this season, and from how it's going off in the lighting and tone of the little title announcement, the new season will probably consist a lot more focus on the V's as they try to take over the realms of hell now that the supposed executioners of heaven are no more. But I'm sure they will soon find a way to stop them, including a certain well-tailored man with a face for radio will be involved. I will for sure be checking this out and getting dressed to the nines for the eventual review I will do for this as well, and for Hell of a Boss too, not forgetting about that one. But yeah, I'm all for sure checking into this hotel in a few weeks' time in that particular instance. Then we got the unveiling of a new series as well, coming to us from the award-winning creator of Breaking Bad in the form of a series known as Pluribus. That while it has not been kept very vague about what the series entails, this series did provide a small kind of gross out teaser and a confirmation that the series will be premiering on November 7th on Apple TV+. Now it'll be an interesting project to see what the project will entail, but of course things right now are very vague in their description of the project, but I'm sure we will learn a lot more about this project by the time it releases this November. And for the last date, we have been summoned to court with the official date set for it, as on Saturday they officially gave us the release date for the long-awaited Looney Tunes film of Coyote vs. Acme, with the film now set for release just over a year's time on the 28th of August 2026, with being announced by the main lead action star of Will Forte. Now I'm finally happy that we have a date checking this out itself. And it's like, I've been hoping the case that it's finally time to see this film get its flowers and roses. Now, hopefully all I need is them to announce the UK and Ireland release date for the day the Earth blew up to release in cinemas some point in the next few weeks, and I'll be good and happy, as they have been very quiet about the release over here, when other projects this year that they distributed released in this country in cinemas, like that Hellboy film last year. But I'll wait and give it a watch in cinemas when it does. I know I'll be making a trip to the movie courtroom once this film releases next August. But what are your thoughts on these release dates, and which one are you the most excited for? Let me know what you think down below. Now, initially, this is the last story, but I felt I'm going to throw it in here now. But sadly, I don't want to end on a sour note, but we have the announcement that we have lost two big names in the industry with a bit of a varying opinion on their passings, but we'll try and look past some of their more questionable opinions. Because first off, earlier this week, we lost the King of Darkness himself of Ozzy Osbourne, known for his unique style, his expressionism, and being the frontman for the band of Black Sabbath. Now, over the last few years, his health was showing signs of getting bad, but he still made the effort in many different projects, with the final being about 2 weeks before his passing, with one final show in the UK that saw all the proceedings going to charity and being one of the most profitable shows in history. Now, sadly, he passed away on Tuesday at the age of 76 after a long battle with Parkinson's, and hopefully he will rest in peace in the afterlife. And as for the other well-known face that passed away, saw a wrestling legend also pass away with the WWE superstar of Hulk Hogan, who is known for his legacy in the sport through the 80s and 90s before retiring for a while to pursue a career in acting, before appearing now and again back in WWE for the 2000s to the mid-2010s. Now, to say his legacy was a clean one is a bit of a mixed opinion, as over the years he has been a bit controversial from lawsuits, accusations of racial and abusive forms, and more recently in his views and political biases. But in this case, I'm not going to focus on that and rather focus on his career that made him well known in the world of wrestling and just as a entertainer, more than anything, to give some element of respect that many may have diminished since then. Now, he passed away on Thursday at the age of 71 due to a possible cardiac arrest, and for his sake I do hope he does rest in peace as well in the afterlife. So we'll just give a moment of silence for both of them. the last story for this week in focus, that we have some reports of some new projects or updates of 1 or 2 coming before the event of Comic-Con, but 1 or 2 coming afterwards. But let's delve into discussion of some confirmed possible aspects and some rumored ones as well. So let's delve into what we have from this week. So the first one is the only project to be discussed before Comic-Con, and was alluded to a few years ago that we were going to get a follow-up to it, but this was since some discussion and reports that a sequel to the live-action Disney film based on the character of Cruella de Vil that was played by Emma Stone has now entered development as of the end of last week. There has been some reports on what to expect from the project, the big focus being that both Stone and Emma Thompson were reportedly set to return from the original movie, and the other big report about this project seems to be taking a cue from last year's Joker sequel, and that this remake follow-up may be going in the direction of a musical. Now, it's not to say that I don't see this working, as it gotten the right songwriters and tone of the songs and make them a bit of a hit. I feel it could appeal. I mean, the first movie was literally just a jukebox movie or something in that aspect, but you know, it could work in that aspect. The other report that has been talked about is the casting of a villain for the sequel, and it seems to be a rumor the villain will be played by music superstar of Taylor Swift, which I'm sure may work and hopefully will not be a cause of issue with her performance, but I feel it could work overall. Now, at the moment, this is just all a rumor, but hopefully it's like the original movie, which I think was actually a lot more enjoyable than I expected, and I'm sure it'll be well worth checking out when it does come along in due time. Sure, the likes of these remakes are a bit here and there, but maybe there's some hope in them when possible, but for now, all we can do is speculate on things. If there's any new updates about this all, I of course provide it in a later episode. Now, on the basis of some of the projects announced at the Comic-Con, we have the focus of 2 that mostly stuck out to me in general, with the first coming to us from Adult Swim. Though while we wait for a 3rd season release of Smiling Friends and the 8th season of Rick and Morty is continuing on, and that anime spin-off I think is basically just dead and I don't think ever released over here, we did get the announcement of another new spin-off in that universe of characters, as we announced that the character of President Curtis from Rick and Morty will be getting his own series, and of course confirmed to soon be Hollywood Walk of Fame actor Keith David playing the character once again. And not much to be has been discussed by the project, but seems will focus on Curtis and his team dealing with things that Rick Sanchez is too lazy to resolve, which include intergalactic diplomacy, paranormal investigations, and a fair bit more, and I'm sure it'll be interesting to see what comes of this project. Now, at the moment, there is no release date on this as of yet, but I'm sure if I hear anything, I will of course update in a later episode. And the last of the projects that was announced around the time was the case of the world of video game adaptation seems to be growing by the daily, and it seems we're getting a new take on a popular series from a studio that already has a very popular adaptation on a streaming service. As was announced on Friday of this week from Variety, that Amazon Prime will be developing a TV series adaptation on the Machine Games and Bethesda series of Wolfenstein. Now, of course, is a series that will have you play as BJ Blazkowicz, a World War II soldier who will go behind enemy lines to take down the Nazis and the Axis powers, who have expanded globally and were the victors of World War II in his alternate history take. Now, the series is confirmed to be helmed by Patrick Somerville, and also confirmed to be seeing some names on the production of the Fallout series, as well as Machine Games being involved in its development. The project as executive producers, and I feel that hopefully it'll work out in the grand scheme of things, and a lot more like the Fallout series in faithfulness and a real good adaptation of the source material, and could even be elements of the series of The Man in the High Castle, which was also an Amazon series. Now, at the moment, there is no confirmation as to when we can expect this project, but once I do hear anything, I will update in a later episode. What do you make of these projects? Would you watch a sequel to Cruella, and what did you think of the first movie if you've seen it? Will you watch the spin-off Rick and Morty, and are you excited for a Wolfenstein adaptation? Let me know your thoughts on all these down below. With all of that, that's all the news stories that we do have for this week.
Nice shot!
And then with all of that now, that ends episode 114 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I do hope you enjoy my ramblings for probably about half an hour at this point. Now, in any case, since I want to apologize for last week's conclusion, just a sudden emotional change. I was just having a moment, and just aspects of the recording some bits just overwhelmed me, and I just want to get through it quick enough. But I'll try to do the same in this aspect and not overly cry, you know. But anyway, let's get to some updates of what we can expect for coming up to my channel at some point. So reviews wise, I am going to get back to recording reviews and stuff like that. I have some Snack Size Box Office ones to record in due time. I'm going to get to writing more of the Last of Us one. I'll probably my episode tonight, probably in case I'm busy, sorting a bit tonight, so probably while I'm editing this, I'll probably do a bit of writing and stuff, but we'll see in that regards. And in case since it's more long form stuff, different views for things and stuff that will be added on as well. As I mentioned, I've already seen The Bad Guys 2, so I'm going to give a review for that at some point. I don't know if I'll do it like a snack size one, but I'll probably do a long form one because I want to give animation long form ones, and then I will get to Fantastic Four and get the thoughts as well, and even maybe F1. I'll try and get to F1 in that regards as well, but we'll see the case. Then we got some gameplays. So I've exported one of the Outlast videos so far. The second part of the DLC will be also aspect as well. I'm going to release them the same day, and then I've recorded another episode of DK Bonanza, which will probably be out in the next few days as well, so kind of look forward to that. It's not really an overly entertaining episode. It's me just kind of dicking around in the new sub layer like a bit of story in there as well, but it's kind of a case of me exploring and just smashing pieces for an hour. But you know, if you enjoy that stuff, so be it. It's just a chill vibe. And in the case instance, be more gameplays coming soon from other games like, you know, Silent Hill and Star Wars, Mario, Cyberpunk, you all get the gist. And the case with some long form stuff, I'm going to get back to some aspects as well of like the AI video I promised someone, the videos as well about rewatchathon, Horror Must Bore, all these other stuff. They're all going to come eventually. I'm just going to get to find the time to do so and write some bits down and like get my thoughts, insight, and then like structure some bits around that like may have popped up, but we'll see in that regards. But with that, I'm going to leave the episode there for now. So if you enjoy my content and want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. I still upload new stuff every single week. I'm looking to aim to reach about 500 subs in the next couple of days, and then hopefully by 1,000 subs by the end of the year, but anywhere near that point should be great. Overall, I'll enjoy if I get there in aspects. Let me know your thoughts on everything that's discussed this week as well. All the new releases, all the trailers, all your thoughts and news, anything you want to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on things, and we'll have a discussion about it as well. Well, in that regards, I think I'm going to end it there for now, so I gotta go sort myself out for some bits for this evening. But yeah, that's all I have for discussion this week. So thank you for watching. As always, you all stay being wonderful people and have a great day every day. Do many great things, and of course, keep being you, because no one else could do what you do. Now, I've been your host, Sam, of course, and I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you later.